This is a perfect example of, I can't remember where I heard this band, but they have a new record out, so let's download it and listen to it. Welcome, my fellow wannabes. Welcome to my channel. As you may know, I am Gabriel Fast, and I am the Wannabe Critic. Today, we are reviewing Boston Manor's new record. It is called Glue, and man, oh man. This album is, I'm just going to come out and say it, is stinking awesome. I've been spinning it for about a week or so. Whenever I say spinning it, I mean, you know, I've been listening to it on rotation quite a bit, digitally. But anyways, long story short, I love this album. I think it is absolutely awesome. And let me tell you why. So, Boston Manor. They had a record come out a couple years ago. Maybe it was, I think it was back in 2018. And I thought, okay, yeah, it's a pretty decent little hardcore record, but nothing to write home about. Man, have they upped the game with this record. There's multiple times within this record where I kind of feel like it's kind of hearkening back to, like, back in the day, like stuff like Thrice, you know, stuff that Thrice has put out in the past 5 or 6 years, kind of along the same lines as that. But I don't know, this is a very versatile record. There's some songs on the record where it sounds like basically like what I just described, kind of just fast-paced, loud, rowdy, yelling into the mic, and, you know, stuff that you just want to beat people up to, as well as kind of having some more emotional, like, meaningful tracks, like my personal favorite, which is Terrible Love. I was already enjoying my time with the record, but whenever I got to that point, whenever Terrible Love played, I was like, oh my god, this band is awesome. It goes beyond saying that these bandmates really click well with each other and that the production is definitely up there, especially in comparison with their last record, which was still really good. But again, you know, kind of, I had to re-listen to it for it to kind of stick out in my mind and be memorable. But that being said, this band is very good. And as I mentioned before, the versatility is kind of there. I've mentioned a couple of bands, and I hate referencing other bands whenever I'm trying to review bands, but I feel like that's the only way to give you any sort of, you know, point of reference to kind of let you know what you're going to expect. But this is a really solid alternative rock album. That's all I can say. There's a lot of really memorable riffs in there, lots of awesome songs, whereas the last record, I couldn't really tell you one song that I remembered off of it. I feel like the flow to a record is a really big deal as well. You know, some albums, there can be really great songs on them, but they just don't flow well as albums. And I really feel like this album flows very, very well and cohesively. The record is about an hour long. I think it runs right at about 50 minutes, which, you know, it seems like nowadays, unless you can complete a listen of something in the car, there's a good chance that you might not be able to get through the entire thing of an album, or you might keep listening to the same 5 or 6 songs or 6 or 7 songs over and over again, depending on how long your commute is. Make yourself listen to this entire thing front to back, and I promise you, you will not be disappointed. I think it's worth mentioning as well that there's also kind of like lingering hints of something that I wouldn't really expect there to be on an album like this. There were times where this band kind of reminded me of like The Devil Wears Prada, or even like A Day to Remember, stuff like that. And it's not like in your face, as in your face as those things are, but those things are definitely there, and I think that they're kind of sprinkled in. That's just my opinion. I could be way off. As far as a score goes, I think this is a really good time. I will be buying this on vinyl, and I don't have really a lot of negative things to say about it, and the negative things I do have to say about it are kind of nitpicky. So I am going to give this album an 8.5 out of 10. I think it is really awesome and definitely worth your time. So what did you think of the album? Did you listen to it? What are your thoughts? Are you kind of on the same, you know, along the same lines as me? Were you more impressed with this record than their last record? Definitely let me know in the comment section below. And also stay tuned for a really cool announcement that's going to be coming up in the next week or so for some cool things happening over here. As always, thank you for preparing yourselves for a plethora of hot takes and potentially unpopular opinions. I'm Gabriel Fast. I will always be the Wannabe Critic.